Again, you really got to meet a person for yourself before you take what they're saying at full advantage. But let me give you a quick synopsis before you guys get into the video. And also take in than actually shooting the video, and it's 9:30. No, yeah, it's 9:34 right now. So it's going to take me a while to do the edit. Then I got to do the rendering. That might take a couple of hours depending on what I put in the video. So hopefully we can get it done, and I'll have this up and out there for you guys, available tomorrow morning. One of the people that I met did say that, why do I do what I do? And as I've told you guys, this was the Inland Empire Informer, because I feel, like a lot of other people feel, that people are voting uninformed of what they're voting for. Oh, I see a big sign. It's just like being a bandwagon fan. Remember when everybody was a Chicago Bulls fan? Then Michael Jordan retired, then you can't find anybody. Do you remember when everybody was a Seattle Seahawks fan? Now you can't find anybody that's a Seattle Seahawks fan. Remember when everybody was a George Bush fan? Now you can't find anybody that admits they voted for George Bush. I mean, it's very rare. I'm sure some do and some don't, whatever. So, a quick synopsis last night. As usual, the Highland Fairview candidates and the Edoites, which is who I call Joanne Steffens, Leroy Al Bundy Holt, the Kunta Kinte of Moreno Valley, and Idiot Gutierrez did not show up for the event. Now, they're going to say we went to the Nason meeting on Nason Street that was, on the calendar. Have you guys noticed that when it comes to Idiot Gutierrez, he always puts stuff on the calendar when he's supposed to be meeting with constituents? Now, here's my question. You are running for people's vote. You're trying to get their vote, but you don't show up at any events. Now, in defense of Al Bundy, Leroy Holt, we know why he isn't showing up. The guy could barely put two sentences together without mentioning football. So, we know that. But I want to bring attention to the fact that I believe Dave Marquez was at the Nason Street thing, and he was able to show up. Even if you only make a part of the thing or whatever, you're trying to get people's votes. So I want you guys to understand that. Kid Krabaris was not there. He's part of the Highland Fairview PAC. And it doesn't make any sense to me. You're running for office and you don't show up. City events can wait. Look at the President of the United States right now. I look at this guy and he's on the campaign trail still, and he's supposed to be governing the country. So, yes, I know there's other people that does it, and he governs by delegation. I understand that. But however, this guy is spending more time on the campaign trail than he does actually governance. So if he can do that, local government can work the same way. If I'm trying to get your vote, I'm going to go and try to meet as many people and dispel a lot of rumors about myself as I can. But that's just my opinion. So let me give you a quick synopsis. Stan Sniff did not show up for the sheriff's debate. Jeff Hewitt showed up, and he's running for supervisor, and he put on a great presentation. If you guys are asking me, Jeff Hewitt is the guy you should vote for in that heat. Both sheriff people, Sniff and Blanco, I believe it is, they're in the same organization, so I'm not saying whatever. I'm a person that believes in turnover. So I believe Sniff needs to go, bring the new lieutenant in, and just keep that turnover going. Because when people are in there too long, they end up like that name Baca. Something about the name Baca, it ends up with corruption. Remember Sheriff Lee Baca? He had been in there for a long time, and eventually it ends up into corruption. Did you guys know that the word Baca in Japanese means stupid? So, don't want these people to be a Baca in Japanese. So they didn't show up, so we didn't have to worry about them. So let's get to heat area. We started with number 2. And who showed up? Corey Jackson, Carla Thornton, Carrie Finn. District 2 has a very, very hard decision to make there. You have 3 very, very good candidates. Now, I have to be honest and give my honest opinion. I can't vote in District 2. I have no dog in the fight. Corey Jackson, as I've been saying, he's a friend of mine, as all of the candidates there, and I'm very friendly with all of the candidates. But when I'm grading in a debate, I would have to give the slight, I mean, there is such a slight difference between all of these candidates, but tonight I'm going to have to give a slight edge, just a slight. Corey Jackson came out very personable, came out very humorous, came out very sincere, answered his questions, kept them simple and to the point. One of the questions they had asked, he just said no or yes or something like that, and that was it. You know, it's just a straight yes and no answer. You know, sometimes in some questions, you don't have to answer it with this long soliloquy and take 2-3 minutes of your actual time. I mean, that's good in some situations, but some situations it's just a basic yes or no. Do you support this? No. Do you support this? Yes. You know. So, but right behind him, Carla Thornton. I'm talking about the slimmest of margins. I mean, these are some good candidates. And just right behind her by the slimmest of margins, Carrie Thin. Now, the biggest thing I kind of, had a problem with Carrie Thin is, I don't know if it was the timer or whatever, the candidates couldn't see how much time they had. So as she's expounding on her answer, she runs out of time. And then she has to use her next answer to, finish the answer prior. So I think that was kind of something, I wouldn't say it's her fault, but at the same time, she has so much knowledge and she wants to let you guys know that she's knowledgeable of the issues. And it just kind of, hurt her because, it's like she didn't finish. And that happened with a lot of the candidates. So it wasn't just her. But as we know, Carrie Thin is very knowledgeable in what she's talking about. She's very passionate about what she's talking about as well. Carla Thornton, just like she was on this show, excellent in all her responses and answers. And she was very funny as well. Like I said, these three candidates, thank God I don't have to vote in that district. But it's going to be a very, very close race. Now, District 4, of course, Kid Kerberos did not show up. The last two meetings, he got his ass handed to him. And he doesn't know how to deal with it. Last council meeting, I did talk to Kid Kerberos, and he talked around the marijuana thing and, of course, voted for it anyway, like we're all stupid. However, again, here's a person. He's in a one-on-one race. He is not very liked in that district because of the way he got in there. And once again, Shalinda Bernard answered the questions very knowledgeable. She was very honest. She was very passionate. And, kudos to her for bringing her family and her beautiful baby boy, because you could not help but smile as you saw that little kid being passed from person to person to person in the venue, like he's like like a little beach ball when you're at a concert. That's how it kind of felt. But even though she was up there on stage, and as a new mother, she's kind of looking out for her child and stuff, she stayed focused on the questions and what was at hand, which was, what is she going to do for her residents in the district if she's elected? A lot of family members out there that were, looking out for the child. Her husband was there, very, very supportive. And by the way, congratulations for his degree in business. So he recently graduated and received his bachelor's degree in business. So that's a great achievement. And we all know when you have to work and support a family and do all those things, it's very, very hard to go back to school or to go to school and do all those things in conjunction. So hands down, she beat that heat. She shows up. Kid Kerberos, he isn't showing up. And why you would want to waste your vote on a person who does not want to talk to you is beyond me. Okay, now we're down to the mayor race. Let's see. Jeff Gaiba, I believe, had another event, and I believe he did the respectful thing and let everybody know that, he had some other event he was going to, from what I was told. As far as Gutierrez, no, he had no excuse whatsoever. We all know that the city manager runs the city. If Gaiba, as a council member, can show up, Dave Marquez can show up, after attending the Nason thing, there's no reason why idiot Gutierrez couldn't show up either. And to me, it seems to me that the Highland Fairview people are at a point to where they are in a lot of disarray and they're making a lot of wrong moves. They are not showing up. And the word of mouth is going out with everybody saying, don't waste your time with these people. Don't, it's not worth it. Let's concentrate our vote on people who are showing up. Now, Jeffrey Guyba didn't show up on this one, but he had a good excuse. He's shown up at all the other ones. So let's, give him the benefit of the doubt. And again, he respectfully called in and said, ahead of time and said, I have a previous engagement, and that's where he had to go. So Denise Fleming, Mary McBean, and Dave Marquez were the premier speakers in the mayor race. And again, I am very happy to say, finally, Denise Fleming showed up. And I don't mean physically. She showed up as the Denise Fleming that we all know and some of us hate and some people love. She had the energy. She had the poise. She answered the questions. She was cut off on some questions. But again, I think one of the biggest problems with Denise Fleming is she doesn't come off as genuine as she could. You don't have to tell everybody every time. Why is it that it's just a coincidence you just happen to talk to that person, or these people happen to have called you last week or whatever? You don't have to do that. Just say, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. You know what? I don't know any gang members, but this is how I would handle the situation. You don't have to know everybody. When you do that, number one, we know it's you're lying your ass off. And number two, you don't come off as authentic. You're just saying what you need to say to try to get elected. And I think that's what's hurting you. You can't help it. You just can't help it. Be yourself, run your campaign, and be who you are. And I can almost guarantee you will get more votes. So Dave Marquez, showed up. Hey, Dave Marquez is always Dave Marquez. He's very honest. He's telling you what's going to happen. He's telling you this is how it's going to be done. He couldn't answer a lot of questions because he's on the council and some of that information is in secret and confidential. But don't worry, I will be getting that information via a file request. Also, Dr. McBean did very, very well in this heat. And I'm going to have to say, very impressive. Some of her ideas were kind of out there, but at least she had ideas. And they were original ideas. And some of them were outdated. But she came off very genuine. She came off very poised. She came off as, having a plan of what she wants to do if she's elected. I wish them all luck. However, I would have to say, in my opinion, Denise Fleming came off as the Denise Fleming we know, the knowledgeable, confident Denise Fleming. So I'm going to be honest about that. Not by much. Like I said, Dave Marquez is currently already on the council. So experience already speaks a lot. So if I was voting for mayor based on those three people, I'm going to go with the person that's already there, because what has already been planned, they already know. A new person gets up there, they're going to have to get caught up. And, and then if you're the new mayor, what if you want to take it in a totally different direction? So that's something you got to think about. But I want you guys to check out this video. You guys make your own opinions. I'm not sure if it was live streamed. If you have any questions, please contact me. I'm Donovan Sadiq, the Inland Empire Informer. You can contact me at dxfiles, DXFILEZ @gmail.com. Message me on Messenger. I usually answer a lot of questions. I will be videotaping and radio interviewing Dr. Mary McBean. She's going to give me some dates that she wants me to cover for her. I have no problem doing that. And tomorrow, Friday evening, we will be doing a live broadcast with Shalinda Bernard in the 4th District. You guys, please tune in for that. And let us know if there's any questions. You can actually live chime in if you want to do that. And we're going to have that done. It's going to be live on the page. And we look forward to asking her a few more tough questions that I think people really want to expound on in regards to what she's going to do. I have a very strong feeling that is going to be a new council member in District 4. I'm Donovan Sadiq, the Inland Empire Informer. You've just been informed. Like I always say, buckle up, brace for it.
But we have to have people that think outside the box. We have to have a better vision. We need a game task force here. When my daughter was going to Landmark, she's 37 now, we had a great game task force here. Now we have a satellite, a small version of that, but yet we have more gangs. We have more constituents. That makes no sense. We cut down on our commission boards, but yet we have more people. We have more people that want to volunteer. I don't understand that. I am here to work for you. I am here because I think that we can do much better in the city of Moreno Valley. Let's team together. Let's make a change in this city. Let's clean up our streets. Let's bring integrity back into our city council, and let's move Moreno Valley forward and be progressive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Mr. Marquez.
Good evening, everybody. I want to thank you for coming out and listening to what us candidates have to offer the city. I'm going to start off by my resume. I was born in Los Angeles and got married in 1970 to my high school sweetheart. Been married going on almost 50 years. I've got 4 kids, adult kids. My youngest one is 34 years old. They all grew up here in Moreno Valley. I moved out here in the early 80s because I knew that Moreno Valley was going to be a place that I wanted to raise my kids. And I have. I've gone even further. My grandkids. I have 11 grandkids. 9 of them live here in the city of Moreno Valley. People ask me, well, why didn't you get involved in city politics many years ago? I have been involved in city matters many years ago. 15 years ago, I got involved in cleaning up the city because I was concerned about the trash. I started a couple of groups, or one group, and it expanded to what we have now, many groups, to clean up our city. So yes, I did get involved 15, 17 years ago. In 2014, I was awarded the Citizen of the Year, Volunteer of the Year by Riverside County, 5th District, and also by City of Moreno Valley. I was very proud of that, and I'm proud of the city. I ran in 2016. I overwhelmingly won my district with over 4,000 votes that nobody came close to anywhere else. I've worked for this city, and I love this city. I've raised my kids in this city. I'm retired, so I spend a lot of my time here in the city. Well, with the gas prices, who would want to be driving away out of here? I spend a lot of time driving around the city as a council member in District 3, but that doesn't stop me. I drive throughout the city, and I do a lot of things that my colleagues don't do, especially the candidates. People ask me, well, you have advantage over these candidates. I don't think I do, just because I'm on the council. If these candidates want to know what's really going on in the city, they would go to council meetings, they would go to commission meetings. There's a lot of things they can go to. A lot of them don't do that. They don't do that. But as mayor and being on the council, I want to go one step further. We have a mayor right now that doesn't believe in transparency. He likes to silence half of the city's residents. I don't do that. I will not do that. If you elect me as mayor, of course, I will continue to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. McLean.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary McBean. I've been living in Moreno Valley for the last 30 years. I'm a registered nurse. I'm not a veteran. I'm a patriot, though. And I want to say thank you guys for your service, Denise and my other candidate in the forum. I was not always Dr. Mack. One of the questions was asked earlier, how could you identify with residents and the citizens of Moreno Valley? Like a lot of you, I grew up down south of Mississippi, and we grew up poor. So I had to fight. I'm from a family of 10. I'm the only one that went to college and got a higher education. We were on food stamps, we were on welfare, government cheese. So I can identify with a lot of you guys. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what that feels like to live like that. I made a decision early on to go to school, to get an education, to try and change my life so that when I became a parent, I can help change my children's life. I'm divorced. I have a son, one son. I have 2 grandchildren. I'm very proud of that. I've lived in Moreno Valley, and I've had an opportunity to work in the city, to do things in the city. I have also worked as a community service person. I've had 2 nonprofit groups, the National Congress of Black Women and the National Alliance of Free Women. Our mission, goal, and objective have been to do things in the city of Moreno Valley for the women of Moreno Valley. I'm running for mayor because I want to make a difference. I'm new as a candidate, but I'm not new to politics. As a young girl growing up in Mississippi, we couldn't vote. We couldn't do the things that you guys enjoy today. So my father made sure that we understood where we could belong and people not telling us where our place was. I'm a nurse and an educator, and I'm here because I want to make a difference in Moreno Valley, and I want to see changes in our political structure. Thank you.
Thank you. So now coming first question. Would you champion, once elected, the rule to recuse yourself from a donor's project?
I think I might have even written that rule. I love that rule. One of the things that I'm very disappointed in is the number of votes that our current city council has done when they've taken so much money from developers and other people. That's ridiculous. When I ran in 2016, I ran against the current mayor who took up almost $500,000 from a developer. That's ridiculous. I think that if you have taken money from a source, that you need to recuse yourself.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, same question. Would you champion, once elected, the rule to recuse yourself from a donor's project?
Well, I think I've proven that. When I ran in 2016, I financed my own campaign, and I was very successful. I ran against 3 opponents that were all endorsed and accepted money from a developer. If you want to better the city, then you have to go out and get donations. I understand that. I understand that. That's educate the residents. You need the money to do that, but you can do it by other means. And I proved that in my 2016 election. This election, I have one donor. He's a very close friend of mine, and he is tired of seeing what's going on in Moreno Valley. He said, if you run for mayor, I will help you get elected, and you don't have to go out to get money from anybody else. I wasn't going to do that in the first place. I was going to finance my own campaign, and I have up to this point, and I continue. I will refuse myself if that ever came about.
That's time.
But I don't have to worry about that. Thank you.
Dr. McKean, would you champion, once elected, the rule to recuse yourself from a donor's project?
Yes, but for me, I don't think recusal should just be the issue. I think here in Moreno Valley, we know what's happening with our projects. So for me, if elected, I would work hard to pass a law or pass an ordinance or get a referendum on the ballot so that we would make it illegal for our current politicians who are in office now to be sitting on the board when projects come before them, that they favor the developer or they favor the owners of those projects so that they cannot work on those projects. That would be the first thing. We can do that as citizens of Moreno Valley. If we get enough people behind this law or ordinance or referendum, we can not be concerned so much about who's going to recuse themselves or who's not. It will be legal from the beginning, and that's how I would approach it.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, if you are elected, what will you do to make sure there is diversity in the city offices, hiring practices? As an example, not everyone needs to speak Spanish. There is always someone to translate.
Okay, so we've done this. I sat on the school board here for a number of years in Moreno Valley Unified, which happens to be the largest employer in the city of Moreno Valley, and happens to be diverse. So it can be done. And we did it by saying that it's not mandatory to have a second language. By the way, a lot of us do speak second languages, so that's easily done. But why is it mandatory if you're not in the forefront, if you're not out speaking to customers? It should not be mandatory. So that's one of the things that we did. We said if you're not speaking to customers on a daily basis, it should not be mandatory. And we went out and we reached out to different organizations, regardless whether it was African American, Hispanic, etc. We went out to different workshops and we recruited from different areas to ensure that our city mirrored, that our workplace mirrored the city, and that's the way it should be. We should be diverse.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, if you are elected, what will you do to make sure there's diversity in the city offices, hiring practices? I quote, "Not everyone needs to speak Spanish. There is always someone to translate."
First of all, that is covered by federal law. Us as a council member have no jurisdiction on that, first of all. As for the hiring process, that's why we're a general law city. That's done through our executive branch, city manager, and so on. The council only makes policy here in the city. We do not make the laws. We cannot change those laws. My outlook on this is yes, we should look at who we hire, who we don't hire. But again, it's a law that we cannot change in this city. I will be very vocal on yes, who we hire, and I will keep on top of that as mayor. We have a stipend for our city employees. If they want to speak Spanish, we pay for them to go to school to learn Spanish, just to help that community in that region. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. McBean, if you are elected, what will you do to make sure there is diversity in the city's hiring practices? I quote, "Not everyone needs to speak Spanish. There is always someone to translate."
Moreno Valley is a general law city, and that's based on the California Constitution. The reason there's lack of diversity right now in our city is because most of the residents that live here, we have 56.6% of Latinos, 17.6% African Americans, 17.4% white people, excuse me. We have 3.8% others. We are pricing our people out of the city, sending people other places. So for me, I think diversity comes with demographics, but we need to try to work hard to bring more people back into the city so that you can have more representation of not just one culture.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, if elected mayor of Moreno Valley, would you champion transparency and fire the current city staff?
I would definitely champion transparency. However, I don't think I can come in and clean house, no matter how much I want to. But what I do believe is that we have to come in and we have to look and see what's going on within our city. I already have some ideas, trust me, what's going on. But I'm not going to come in and say, you're fired, and you're fired, and you're fired. There are, that's why we've had so many lawsuits in our city. If you can remember, we've already paid someone, $250,000 because we signed her contract and she was gone in, 2 or 3 months later. So there are laws, human resources laws that guard, who can be let go and when. However, there are contract expiration dates that we definitely will take a serious look at.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, if elected mayor of Moreno Valley, would you champion transparency and fire the current city staff?
Well, that's part of my platform, transparency. I don't keep anything away from the residents or even at City Hall. I never have, and I never will. But you gotta remember one thing, that question, for me, where I'm sitting at now, it's very hard to answer. There's procedures. I can't answer that. I won't answer that question as, are you going to make changes in administration? When I become mayor, that will be something on my platform to look at. If who we keep or we don't keep. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. You have to look at their contracts, as Dr. Fleming says. You know, you give somebody a good valuation and then you terminate them a month later. You got to look at those things. It's not that easy. It's not, you just can't. So my thing is, when I become mayor, I will reevaluate all city staff executive group.
Thank you. Dr. McLean, same question. If elected mayor of Moreno Valley, would you champion transparency and fire the current city staff?
I would not fire the current city staff. I would try and work with them. The executive staff that we have right now in Moreno Valley, a lot of the individuals that are there, they come with a lot of expertise, and they come from other cities. I would champion transparency, but what I would also do is work with who we have, try to understand where they are, work toward a compromise, and work together as a team. If you look at my candidate platform, ethical behavior would be one of the first things that I would implement as mayor.
Thank you. So, Dr. Fleming, what is your stance on current corruption in Moreno Valley? For example, the recent Brown Act violation.
Well, let's see. Moreno Valley is known for the largest bribe in the U.S. history by one of our city council members. So that would be corruption. We've had Kamala Harris, the district attorney, involved in the city of Moreno Valley due to violations on our city council. And I can go on and on and on. And so we need to get rid of the disease in our city. And that's presently in our local government. A change has to be made. And the only way we can do it is we, you, me. We team together, we get out and vote, and we say no more.
Mr. Marquez, what is your stance on current corruption in Moreno Valley? For example, the recent Brown Act violation.
Well, that's another question, very hard. As to the accusations for Brown Act violations, I can't get into that because, again, with my position as city council member right now, a lot of that is confidential information that I cannot discuss. But I can tell you this, that our past has shown how corrupted our government can be. Yes, we've had our problems, and we've had recalls. Has it cured the problem? No. Why? Because we keep re-electing the same people over and over. So you're asking about corruption in our city. It doesn't have to be me as mayor. It could be any of these candidates. You need to have new bodies, new faces, and new ideas.
Dr. McLean, what is your current stance on current corruption in the city of Moreno Valley? For example, recent Brown Act violation.
For me, our city right now, Moreno Valley, is under siege. It's under siege because there's no accountability. It's under siege because we have cronyism, we have favoritism, and we have business as usual, and we have the status quo. And none of our current elected officials are being held accountable for their behavior. When violations of the Brown Act occurs, nothing is done. So for me, if elected candidate, if elected mayor, the first thing I would do is to try and weed out the people who are corrupt and replace them with ethical, transparent people.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, what is your stance on providing assistance to drug offenders versus mass incarceration?
Well, I think that everybody deserves a chance. However, we do have laws and rules and regulations. Every government entity has that for a reason. So I believe that there should be programs that are put in place And I believe that everyone has to abide by those rules and regulations. So I'm glad that we're able to have rehabilitation for drug offenders, but I don't believe that repeated offenders that are habitual should be able to get a free pass. I believe that we should be able to put effective programs in place, and I think that we've been unfortunate that we haven't had people in place that have leadership and wisdom and guidance to do that, to put effective programs in place. And so we've been we're like a sinkhole for offenders, and that shouldn't be. That should not be.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, what is your stance on providing assistance to drug offenders versus mass incarceration?
I'm a veteran, and when I walk the streets, drive around the city, I see these homeless people. A lot of your veterans don't want help. They want to be left alone. But then there's some individuals that need help. Us as a city, we have the resources, but better off, even the county has more resources, and the state. But sometimes you can't count on those entities to help. So Moreno Valley's got to step forward. We do have the Salvation Army, Think Now, Community Now. We have a lot of nonprofit groups. It's just you need to know where to go when a problem or the need arises. Contact your council person or city hall and look for those services. They are available through the city. And we would definitely, myself, you call me, I'd definitely be out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help.
Thank you. Dr. McKean, what is your stance on providing assistance to drug offenders versus mass incarceration?
My background is a psychiatric nurse, and my expertise has been working with dual programs. I worked in Loma Linda, and I worked in other cities and other hospitals. We can reduce mass incarceration by getting people into treatment programs. That's the first thing. Get them into treatment programs and get them off the street. I've done that. I've worked in those programs. A lot of the people that we see on the street today, they have mental health issues. They don't take their meds, and they try to mask their symptoms with drugs. So for me, as a nurse, working in the area, the first thing I would do is implement a treatment program versus sending them to jail.
Dr. Clinton, can we expect our taxes to continuously go up? And what is your plan to help decrease high tax rates?
No, I don't believe that Moreno Valley need to increase their taxes. As a matter of fact, one of the things that our city is most braggadocious about is their over 20% reserves. So we have so much money in reserves and no programs. That makes no sense. When we have the need of after-school programs, we have the need of homeless programs, we have the need of rehabilitation centers, we have so much need that we have more money drawing interest and less programs in the street. That's not an effective city. An effective city knows how to balance their budget as well as have effective programs for the community. So we're not doing a good job.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, can we expect our taxes to continuously go up? And what is your plan to help decrease high tax rates?
Well, first of all, I'm against the utility tax. I've always been against the utility tax. But unfortunately, we as a city have pretty much relied on that tax for our general fund. Yes, we have a high reserve, but we have to have that high reserve in case there's another recession. Bottom line is this: you work on the utility tax, you lower the utility tax to where you're able to work with it to support the general fund or any type of programs within the city. To raise any taxes, I don't believe we should. We're taxed enough. Let the state or even the county help us on that. Reach out to them. But no, I'm not against raising taxes at all, period.
Thank you. Dr. McBean, so we expect our taxes to continuously go up. What is your plan to help decrease high tax rates?
Unfortunately, our taxes will continue to go up because we do not have enough citizens in Moreno Valley who are paying their property taxes to generate revenue for the city. For me, we need to have more citizens who are paying, but in order for that to occur, we have to have jobs. We have to have jobs that have a living wage, not just jobs that's paying minimum wage. Our living conditions here in Moreno Valley is such that you can't make ends meet. So if you can't make ends meet, you don't pay into the tax revenue base, so the taxes will continue to go up.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, why are there so many homeless in Moreno Valley, and what is your solution?
Moreno Valley has an abundance of homeless, and I've spoken this so many times. And I believe that part of it is that we have this homeless to work program that gives this so temporary, where people are able to work for 60 days via a grant that the city generated to the Salvation Army, and then they're homeless again, they're back on the street. The one thing about working with the homeless, I've been working with them for a number of years, for about 20 years or more. They have a great communication system. So if they know that they can get something free or something that's going to generate them an income, they're going to tell the next person, the next homeless person, and the next homeless person. And we've been a victim of that. There are wonderful homeless programs that are out there. There's the Veteran, right? The Veterans Association right there on the base has a fantastic homeless program. But we have small thinkers. We don't have people that have went out and looked at these programs and tried to emulate them here in our city. And that's what I promise you, that I'm going to look at these programs. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just use them.
Mr. Marquez, why are there so many homeless in Moreno Valley, and what is your solution?
The reason we have a high population, and I'm not going to say high, for this city, we don't have that many homeless. It might seem like it, we don't. Our biggest problem with homeless here is the residents of Moreno Valley. And let me tell you why. They're at street corners. They're at intersections. They're asking for money. And what does the resident do? He gives them $1, $5. That is the problem. The residents need to stop that. Help the city by helping the homeless. We do have the services available here in the city. It might not look like it because the residents are helping these homeless people in the streets. They're giving them food, they're giving them money. You think they're going to leave Moreno Valley? No, they're not. They're going to stay here. The word gets out, go to Moreno Valley. The residents are great. They'll give you $5. They'll bring you a meal. A lot of your homeless people have cow cards. Don't let them kid you. And some of them will eat a lot better than some of us. Thank you.
Dr. McBean, why are there so many homeless in Moreno Valley, and what is your solution?
I believe the homeless population, a lot of them are mentally ill. A solution for me would be to have community health centers. As a nurse, I've worked in community health centers where you bring together health professionals and you put them in a spot. And you allow residents of the city to come to those community health centers. And you do assessments, you try to get them into programs, you try to get them on medication, and you try to find them shelter. And by doing this, you can reduce the number of homeless people out on the street.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, 20 years ago, most of us wouldn't have envisioned a time when marijuana would become legal. Now that it has been legalized, it seems like a viable source to generate tax dollars. Why has the city of Moreno Valley not been proactive in permitting these businesses, and what are your views?
Moreno Valley is in a process of permitting cannabis. Is that your question? Why have we not?
My question is the audience. So they're asking, why haven't they been, I guess the person asking the question doesn't feel like the city has been more proactive.
Okay, so the city is in the process of actually allowing cannabis in our city. However, there is some controversy with that because they feel that our city not being very, having a lot of integrity and transparency did it properly. That when they did it via a bingo system, numbers was falling out, it was supposed to be a lottery system, and certain cannabis owners felt like it was not done to the best. It was not done with integrity and done properly, as many things in our city has not been done. So because our city is not business friendly, it's not just cannabis, but it's more than that. People don't want to do business in the city of Moreno Valley because it's very difficult.
Yep. And
it takes a very long time. We have to be more business friendly in the city of Moreno Valley.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, 20 years ago, most of us wouldn't have envisioned a time when marijuana would become legal. Now that it has been legalized, it seems like a viable source to generate tax dollars. Why has the city not been proactive in permitting these businesses, and what are your views?
Well, first of all, I voted no against it. I did not vote to have this city on a map as go get your marijuana in Moreno Valley. But you gotta stop and realize, the research shows that it's good for medical, not recreational. So there's two things here. You're gonna permit it for medical, or you're gonna permit it for recreational. I approve, and I've always been for it, for medical, because of the research. It does help medically. Recreationally, no, it does not help. We don't have enough policemen on the force to monitor that, especially our shops that we're going to have. I'm totally against it, but again, I'm the minority on the council. It's here to stay, it's not going to change, but being as your mayor, I could control that with the council, with my colleagues on the council. So, again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. McKean, 20 years ago, most of us wouldn't have envisioned a time when marijuana would become legal. Now that it has been legalized, it seems like a viable source to generate tax dollars. Why has the city not been proactive in permitting these businesses, and what are your views?
I'm a cancer survivor. I had breast cancer, and I did use marijuana, medical marijuana. We put it in the tea. I believe medical marijuana is good for us. I do not believe that just having recreational marijuana will be good for the city. I do not believe that our city government needed to do to make sure that impact on cannabis would be fit for our city. We would be concerned about crime, and I think that would increase. And we do only have 8 police officers, so that would be a problem for us.
Dr. Fleming, what programs are available to our youth in the community to help get them jobs?
Okay, this question was asked at another forum, and I explained that the school district actually put a program in place where the school district actually hire juniors and seniors and put them to work during the summertime. Those juniors and seniors are actually employed throughout the city, depending on their skills, their desires. Some want to be lawyers or doctors. They can go work in a health office. If they want to be a lawyer, we find lawyers for them. If a lot of them were placed in City Hall, they're placed throughout the city in different areas. However, the money is paid for via a grant from the school district. So that's one set that the school does to employ our youth. And then there's a couple other programs.
Mr. Marquez, what programs are available to our youth in the community to get jobs?
Well, we have a summer program at City Hall where we get the interns coming in, student interns, to learn about government, how it operates like the city of Moreno Valley. We have those programs. We also have grants that we give out to nonprofit groups to have those programs within our city. Community Now and those type of nonprofits. But we also have a program with the college that works with our juniors and seniors to get them jobs, to get them ready for the real world out there. Not everybody everybody is made out to go to college. They want to graduate and get a job, and that's fine, that's fine. But we do have the programs in place right now, and thanks to the college and the school district, they are helping the city with this and getting students jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. McBean, what programs are available to our youth in the community to get jobs?
Right now, I have 2 interns working in my office, and they come from the Youth Development Center right here in town. 2 young men, one is bilingual and one is African American. And they just finished high school. One finished high school at Canyon, and the other one finished at Marina Valley, Justin and Chris. And they're working on office skills, communication skills. They're working on resumes, and they're working on how to interact with the public, how to have phone presence. So we do have programs here in our city that are up and running and viable, and they're therefore asking if you as an employer or a person who needs help, you can tap into those programs. I did.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, are there any plans for housing for seniors and new families?
So I sit on the board of the in-home support services as well as a couple other senior programs because my mother had, well, for a variety of reasons, one, my mother had Alzheimer's dementia. And so I sat with Care Connects, which is a daytime caregiving facility. And I also sit on the board at an Inland Valley area of realtors. So yes, there is, as you can see, there's construction going throughout our city consistently and ongoingly. So we are constantly thriving economically. We're constantly building within our city. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud to see what's happening as far as Moreno Valley is growing. However, we have to be more business friendly. We can be more progressive. We can bring in technology jobs and the jobs that are going to fill these houses. As a realtor, I want to see it. But the first question I'm asked all the time is, why is your city so dirty? Why is the shrubbery outgrowing? What is going on with your city?
Thank you. That's time. Mr. Marquez, are there any plans for housing for seniors and new families?
We presently work with the Department of Aging, with the county, and some agencies with the state to fulfill that commitment that we have to our seniors here in the city of Moreno Valley. We have some projects coming online right now, affordable housing, for that reason only. We have some investors, some developers that are very interested in building that affordable housing for the seniors. So we are working on some projects right now. As for myself, I'm a young puppy here. That's something I have to look at for my wife and I too. And I am really concerned. There is not enough housing for seniors here, but we are working on something like that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. McBean, are there any plans for housing for seniors and new families?
Housing are being built right now in Marina Valley. I'm sure as you guys drive around the city, you see them. But what we don't have is houses set aside for seniors, low-income housing. We don't have enough housing set aside for veterans, for low income. We don't have enough housing set aside for the poor. So for me, when the developers go to the city and ask for contracts and bids to build houses, I believe it should be a mandate that they set aside so many residents for those people.
Thank you. So Dr. Fleming, what does cultural competency mean to you, and how will you implement it effectively within your leadership?
I somewhat spoke on it earlier. Cultural competency for a city is that when you actually are implementing healthcare and other social norms for your residents, when you are a city, as mayor, that's what I have to do. I have to ensure that we have the right programs, the right cultural programs for our residents. And we've been lacking in that particular area. We need to have cultural programs. We need to have social programs for our residents. We need to have healthcare programs. We need to take care of our homeless people. We need to take care of our seniors. And Moreno Valley has lacked in the cultural norms for our city. We talked about having a high reserves. We have to have that because of recession. Why is it Moreno Valley's reserves is 3 times as high as any other city? That's ridiculous. No, you don't need to have that much reserves, but you do need to implement programs to help your residents.
All right.
Mr. Marquez, what does cultural competency mean to you, and how will you implement it effectively within your leadership?
Well, first of all, what we got to do here in Moreno Valley is get new faces at City Hall. We have a mentality for warehousing in Moreno Valley. That's not going to change our culture here. Believe me, it's not. As mayor, I will work with our staff and county officials to bring in those different types of programs for health programs. We have the county largest hospital here in Moreno Valley, and that's a start. For aging, for seniors, but there's a lot of programs. We are working on that and understand we lack that in the city of Moreno Valley. But if we continue pushing these aside and worry about jobs and warehouses, now, I'm not against jobs, but if we continue going the path we are and worry about warehousing, these other ones aren't going to matter to the city at all.
Thank you. Dr. McKinney, what does cultural competency mean to you, and how will you implement it effectively within your leadership?
Cultural competency to me means an embrace of different ethnic groups and a respect for their value systems and their traditions. For me, as mayor, I would have a culture awareness day. At the college, we have, when you teach nursing, you have nurses from everywhere. So we have a culture day for every culture to bring a food dish from their country. And we implement programs so that we can get a chance to eat bread, break bread with them, eat with them, and understand how they do things in their country.
Thank you. So, Dr. Lemon, how would you balance the various interests of the community, for example, rural, business, residential, recreational, etc.?
My platform talks about it all the time. First of all, the city council has to come from behind the dais and into the community. We need to come out and talk and listen to the community and listen to the needs of the community. We can no longer sit behind a dais and try to govern our city. It does not work that way. Well, I've done it before. We did it on the school board, and I'm willing to do it on the city. We have to go into the community, listen to the community and the needs of the community. Our rural area wants to, we had the commissions for trails, but yet we took it away. We need to bring in the community and listen, come out and talk to them, hold town hall meetings, hold different conversations. There's different ways that we can communicate, but if we're not listening to what the citizens want, you get what you get at the city council meetings right now, which is a bunch of chaos.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, how would you balance the various interests of the community, for example, rural, business, residential, recreational, etc.?
There's places in every city that you want to categorize these businesses, land, development. In Moreno Valley, everyone knows that the northern part of Moreno Valley is a rural area, understand, and we should keep it like that. If a developer wants to build a home out there, build it to the rest of that area, 1 acre, 3 acre and a half, whatever. You want warehousing, it goes south of the city. Businesses, they see this when they come in to look to expand here in Moreno Valley. And they say, well, if the city knows what they're doing, and I'll be honest with you, we don't know what we're doing. We need a mayor that's going to push forward for these projects. These developers, sit down with their developers and let them know what we want for this city. Keep the north the way it is, keep the south with the warehousing, and the middle part of the city, use it for business and other development, affordable housing, restaurants.
Thank you. Dr. McBean, how would you balance the various interests of the community, for example, rural, business, residential, recreational, etc.?
As mayor, I think it's important for us to have an engaged mayor. A mayor that's out and about in the city, meeting the residents, talking to the residents, and getting to know the residents of the city. Another thing I would do is implement more neighborhood watch groups. I would have more town hall meetings, and I would have open hours at my office so that people come and talk to me. I would have an open door policy, and I would not allow my staff to keep me away from the citizen who wanted to talk to me.
Thank you. So Dr. Fleming, can you tell us about a strength and a weakness you have, and how can it help you in your role as mayor?
I think let's start with weakness. I think my weakness is that I want to help everybody. So I'm always out there. People are coming to me constantly now with questions, with concerns with the city, and I'm constantly out there. I'm constantly advocating, whether it's with the city, whether it's with the school board, whether it's with the county. I am constantly out there, and I'm constantly giving, and I don't mind at all. I think my strength is that I am able to multitask, and I'm able to do it efficiently. I served in the military. It's one of the traits that was given me, that I was raised up with, that was bred inside of me. So I'm happy to have the strength and the organizational skills to serve you as your mayor, and to serve you with honesty, integrity, transparency, and to be accountable.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, can you tell us about a strength and weakness you have, and how can it help you in your role as mayor?
Well, every day my wife reminds me about my weakness. that is money. I'm very generous for the people in Moreno Valley. I just gave a business owner $300 out of my own pocket for them to continue their business. It's not a lot of money, but it's something to help the community. When it comes to dollars, that's my weakness. And not everybody call me tonight and ask me to do money. I don't have that much money left. My salary, some of it, majority of it is donated to nonprofit groups. There's people out here that know that because I have given their groups money. My strength, I want to say it's working with these people in Moreno Valley, so their way of life here is life comfortable and safety.
Thank you. Dr. Martin, can you tell us about a strength and weakness that you have, and how it can help you in your role as mayor?
My weakness is I get overly involved. I take on too much, and then you can lose the focus. But my strength is I am totally determined. When I make up my mind to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm self-directed. I get some instructions, and I will work hard to implement the program or task. I believe it's important for us to have a balance between both. I think you can take your weakness and you take your strength, and you can work on that. We all have that, but we can help what we needed, and we implement what we can to make ourselves better.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, what are your plans on improving the infrastructure citywide?
You know, a city has a strategic plan that needs to be reviewed and looked at. It happens every 5 years. Moreno Valley is a fairly new city. When it was started, there was a place for warehousing. It was only until developers came in and everything developers came in and our city council was influenced by developers until we got out of order. And that's what happened. Moreno Valley is out of order. And the developers began to influence our city council, and now we're paying for infrastructure for buildings that our business people are now doing. That's out of order. That's ridiculous. There needs to be a plan where when our developers come in, that they should be paying for their own infrastructure and not me or you as taxpayers. That should be written in our strategic plan. That should be written in when we're contracting and vetting our developers. We can do better as a city.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, citywide?
When a developer comes into our city and they sit with each council member to present their project to us, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, what do you have to offer to the city? Not what have you contributed to the city. Very important. When a developer comes in, the infrastructure is paid for by that developer. A lot of cases that weren't in the past is because you have the same people at City Hall. In the future, it will change. But again, developers do come in, they do invest into our infrastructure. At the same time, they also invest into our communities. Each developer in their projects have parks, where I don't think that goes on with the rest of the county. That's one of the requirements. But the second requirement is the infrastructure. They do pay for it 100%, not the city.
Thank you. Dr. McBean, what are your plans on improving the infrastructure citywide?
One of the first things I would do is increase the fees on the developer. When they come into the city with their projects and they bid on projects to do work here in our city, we can charge them more. And if we find ourselves in a situation where our roads are destroyed because of the trucks and because of the building, and because of the wear and tear on the streets, then we have to hold them accountable. If those monies are not there, then their bids for their different projects should be denied. So if we increase fees, we hold them accountable and get more money from them if they tear up our streets and roads.
Thank you. So that was our last question. Now we'll give each candidate 1 minute to give us closing remarks. So Dr. Fleming, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you very much for having me out tonight and for listening to me speak. There are laws that are in place called public contracting law where we cannot deny bids. But there are things that we can do as council members. And one of them is to work with our executive team, with our city manager, to ensure that he is doing his job. And we have failed in this particular area. We have talked about a little bit tonight about what's been mandatory infrastructure-wise. When you're building new houses, you are paying fees and I'm paying fees called mellow roofs. That's to ensure that we do have parks in those particular new developments that are coming in. I bring these up because these are things that a mayor needs to know in order to implement and have an efficiently ran city. You need to know the Brown Act. You can come in learning the Brown Act. You have to know the Brown Act. I've worked with the Brown Act for a number of years as a school board member in other functions. I have done this. Let me be your mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Marquez, your 1 minute wrap-up.
Well, being the new mayor of Moreno Valley after November 6th, I will not ask for $133,000 salary. I definitely won't do that. But I would love to say that I won't ask for a raise as a city council member either. Yes, we do things for the city, and people say, well, how can you do that without pay? Well, it's not about money. To me, it's not. It's about your dedication and what you love for the city of Moreno Valley. Again, I've been a resident 40 years plus. I've been involved in the city for many, many years. I got on the council because I want to change, and as mayor, when I'm elected, November 6th, transparency will be my #1 priority. We will not eliminate or silence any districts in the city. All colleagues of mine will have a say-so. There's not going to be no majority, and if I hear that on the council,
Thank you.
then I'll work on it. Thank you.
Closing remarks.
Well, thank you guys for hosting us. I would like to say, this is a job interview. The interview is to be your mayor. And if you would like Mary McBean to be your mayor, I will work for you. You will become my employer. I will become your employee. And every day, I will do my darndest to make you proud of me as your mayor. You don't come to the job with all the skills. You come to the job and there's some on-the-job training. But what I would do is learn and listen and work together with the other people at City Hall to make Moreno Valley better. Thank you.
Thank you. So once again, I want to thank the candidates for mayor, Dr. Denise Fleming, Mr. David Marquez, and Dr. Mayor McBean. That concludes our candidates forum. We appreciate you coming out and hearing from the candidates. And remember to go out and vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Now we sit on, we want to be respectful. We have a divergent group here, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree, but we don't have to be mean-spirited about it. Amen? Amen. So let's open in a word of prayer and get started. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this day that you have made. We thank you for keeping us, Father. We ask right now that you would touch the candidates, allow them to realize that they're working for the community, they're working for California, they're working for the United States of America. We thank you, Father, for these citizens. We pray right now that you allow us to be open and honest, to ask relevant questions, to dig deeper, to see what's best for our region, best for our area, because we're all on the same team. We thank you for all things. It's in Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Good evening. My name is Christina Dixon. I'm a member of Crossword. I'm also an active member in different activities, one of which is on the Democratic Party Women's Caucus. And a part of the work that we do is ensuring that we're doing engaging civic engagement. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for us to hear from the candidates who want to represent us. I'm also a resident of Moreno Valley. So whenever Bishop Sykes calls and asks me to serve, I'm more than willing to do that. So just to give some rules for the engagement, if we can please make sure that our cell phones are silenced. We don't want to disturb the dialogue that we're going to engage in with the candidates. When you came in, you were asked to provide questions on index cards. So if you haven't done that yet, I believe there's still an opportunity to do so. So you can feel free to grab a card, write down your question, because we will be asking those questions of the candidates. If we have no questions, we have some filler questions that we'll ask. We will not be taking questions from the audience. We find that kind of having a flow of the questions we're asking in advance helps us to kind of field questions and make sure we're not asking duplicate questions. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to give an introduction. They'll have 60 seconds to answer each question, and at the end they'll have a minute to do a wrap up. We have 3 panels tonight. We're hoping that candidate for Sheriff Stan Smith will come. If not, we'll just keep moving to the next panel. Okay? So if we're all ready, we'll go ahead and get started with the first question. Oh, you wanted a card. Oh, okay. So we're going to do an introduction. We're going to allow Mr. Jeff Hewitt to introduce himself and explain to us why he wants to be our next supervisor.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, so he's the only one here for the supervisor race. The other candidate was not able to make it. No, so there's going to be 3 panels. The first panel was with the Stan Smith for sheriff, but since he's not here, we're going to move forward with supervisor. So if he shows up, then that would be the next panel. And we'll have 20 minutes on this panel, and then the next one will be about 45 minutes. Okay?
Well, thank you. And they say that it's lonely at the top. You have no idea sometimes how lonely it can be. There's all the humor you're going to get tonight. First of all, I'd like to really thank everyone who come out. I'd like to thank the Crosswords Church on having this. I believe that it shows that everyone here is really concerned about their community, about the direction that our county and our community is going in. And to tell you a little bit about who I am, I'm a lifelong Southern California resident. I was born actually in the city of Redlands, and the only time I haven't lived in the Inland Empire was when I went off to college in 1971 to go to San Diego State. And what I found was when I got married and had kids, I didn't like San Diego. I liked where I was coming from. I thought this was a really good place to raise a family, and I hold by that still today. I think that the Inland Empire has everything that a family needs for not only recreation, but there's some very good schools here, and the people here they're real. You get down in the city and you see a lot of well, let's just say they're not as real. And about 8 years ago, I'd been on the planning commission of the city of Calamasa, and someone asked me to run for city council. And I found out it was in the middle of the recession, and money was really tight for myself. And I asked, well, does it pay anything? Because being on the planning commission, you do a lot of work, you read a lot of EIRs and such, but it's really a voluntary, real service thing. And it turned out that it paid $300 a month. And I said, wow, that's groceries. I'll do that. So I went ahead and I ran, and the gentleman that asked me to ran my campaign. He was coming down from being on, he didn't want to run again. And since then, I'll tell you what, it's been one of the best, most fulfilling experiences of my life, the last 8 years. I found that, when you go out there and you be honest, and you try to get people to work together, I love the pastor's message here that, there's not two sides of the aisle. There shouldn't even be an aisle in this area. And especially when we're talking about local. Local races have no Republican or Democrat or conservative or liberal. Each issue should be taken on its own merits. And I found that I had an ability. I'm a very good swimming pool digger. I've probably dug over 1,000 pools over the years around Moreno Valley. But I had the ability to go ahead and talk to people that, let's take this and let's see if we can get this done. And about 2 years ago, one of the largest challenges came up. Now, I've been the mayor for about a year and a half, and we got a really big challenge. We had contracted with CAL FIRE for the 27 years of the history of Calamasa.
Mr. Hero, that was time.
Oh, that was the time, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to wrap up?
Yes, so anyway, the reason why I'm running for county supervisor is this county is facing a fiscal chasm that has a lot of issues, but the number one is the unsustainable pension system that we've got to go ahead and to be able to go ahead and deliver our obligations to those people that we've made. We need to change over, and it's going to take some real tough decisions. And I have the ability to do that.
I am running for City Council in District 4. I am a resident of Moreno Valley for 10 plus years. My husband and I have recently welcomed our son. You might be seeing him being passed around. We call him People's Baby because everyone gets excited when you see him. But I'm running for District 4 because District 4 has been neglected by essentially every representative we've had since 2013 with Marcelo Coe. So I'm running because we have no representation, we have no transparency, and we have no level of decorum at City Hall. And I want residents to feel like they have a representative that represents them, that will listen to their concerns, that won't listen to their concerns only based on whether or not they receive campaign financing from them. And even if they don't agree with you, that you can sit down and have a conversation with them. And with the climate that we have currently with City Council, that's not what we have. So a little bit of background on myself. I'm a social worker for the county of Riverside. I work with adults and special needs children. Prior to that, I was a paralegal, and I worked with parolees, divorce, family law, things of that nature. So I don't come into this necessarily blind. I do understand laws and rules, and I come with it in a different level of compassion, and that's what I want to bring to District 4.
Amen.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that Shelinda pointed out that she's running for District 4 City Council. And so for this panel, we have about 20 minutes, okay, total. So for the first question, how has the current climate in politics shaped your ideas, goals, and plans for the district?
So for me, politics and being into it is what I've always done. I registered to vote in March of 2000 when I turned 18, my senior year in high school. So the current climate doesn't change anything for me because voting is always important, and being a representative in your government is always important, being stand-up. But as far as District 4, when you notice that there's a lack of representation and your city officials are not being held accountable or disregard you trying to hold them accountable, it is up to you as a voter, as a resident, to step up and hold them accountable, whether that means voting them out or just going to a meeting and letting them know you've let us down. So for me, it's always going to be the same regardless.
Thank you. Everyone says they are going to make our neighborhoods safer. How exactly do you plan to do so?
We always talk about making neighborhoods safer in regards of public safety, hiring more officers. What truly makes a neighborhood more safe than normal is knowing your neighbors. I know my neighbors. I can tell you my neighbor that lives across the street, the two next to me. I can tell you that on our street, there were 3 births and they were all boys in the last 6 months. So knowing your neighbors, knowing when someone doesn't belong in your neighborhood or there's a car that's been parked there suspiciously, that's what makes you feel safe. Not the city putting up cameras, because you can put up 1,000 cameras, but if you still feel unsafe, the cameras don't matter. So it's about knowing your neighbors, talking with your family, talking with your neighbors and saying, hey, did you notice so-and-so was on the street today? Did you notice that these kids were hanging out a little bit too long over here? Those are the things that make you feel safe. And what I want to bring is more neighborhood watches, more community involvement and conversation. Police officers are nice, but let's talk about what if we never get those extra police officers because of the contract that we have drawn up. Because the reality is our police officers are based on that contract. So we need to think of other alternative ways of getting everybody involved and not just relying on the police department to make us feel safe. We all know how long those response times are out here. By the time they get here, safety's all the way out the door anyway.
Thank you. Are you in favor of increasing the number of city council districts from 4 to 6?
I am in favor of it. We are a city of 200,000 plus people. Roughly, that's 20,000 people per district member, per city council member. You need to increase the districts because it equals better representation. You have more of a chance to speak directly with your city council member. You have more of a chance to have your issues heard. Instead of 100 people coming at one person at once, we can divide and conquer that and make it more palatable if we divide and make it more. I know it's not, so for some people it's not favorable, but they're thinking about it in terms of old Moreno Valley when it was more rural, when it was really still a sleepy bed community. But we've increased. And the way things are going, the population is going to increase. And we need to always make sure that with the population increase, that everyone has fair and equal representation. And the only way to do that is to increase the districts. I'm not saying we ever need to probably get it to 10, but 6 is sufficient.
Thank you. Do you think accepting substantial donations from prospective business owners, is a slippery slope in terms of how you as a council member would condition projects?
It is a slippery slope. If you take money from a developer who has a project coming before city council, then you, just as a matter of ethics, and it should be something that's in you to begin with, should excuse yourself from making a decision on that project. I personally have not gotten any money from developers, and one reason is because I don't do pay for play. And that's exactly what it looks like when you take money from developers and they have projects coming before city council. It's looking like a pay for play situation. Even if you say, well, the people don't want it, but you took the money and let's just take it off the table right now. Later on, you can always come back and say, you know what, let's just go ahead and do that project anyway. Once you think everyone forgot about it, it's not right. And that's some of the unethical things we have going on at city council right now that needs to be addressed. When you run a grassroots campaign, which is what I have, is a grassroots campaign, then you don't have to worry about money from developers because guess what? This is city council. You should be out there talking with your neighbors. You should be knocking on doors. This isn't state assembly. This isn't a Congress situation. This is city council, which is what it's supposed to be, which is neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend. And that's what this is about. So you shouldn't have to be taking money from developers, but that's just my personal feeling. That's how strong my ethics are.
What is your long-term plan for the city of Moreno Valley?
So the long-term plan that I have for the city of Moreno Valley is to, number one, represent District 4. Represent my district that's been neglected. I would like to see, in general though, Moreno Valley move into a place where it's not always thought of as an afterthought of a city, that it's a city that people are proud to say they come and live in Moreno Valley. We all know sometimes we go places, we tell people we live in Moreno Valley, and whether they say, you live in Moreno Valley. I always say, and my husband says, my family says too, Moreno Valley's never done nothing bad to us. We love it here. It's a wonderful community. My goal is to bring things in that you can do with your family here. For most of us right now, when you have a family event or you want to do something with your kids, what do? You pack yourself up and you go to Riverside, Temecula, Murrieta. You leave Moreno Valley. What we need to focus on is how to make Moreno Valley a city where it represents what we are, which is, yeah, we're a commuter city, but we're a city of working families, grandmothers, grandfathers, moms, dads, people working hard to send their children to college, but they have nowhere to hang out here. They always have to leave. So I would like it to be more of a family-type environment in Moreno Valley. I'm not saying the entire Moreno Valley has to be family, but give me a section. Give me a nice downtown that's not mixed inside of warehouses. Fix the mall so that my son, when he grows up, can go there and there's something for him to do. As of right now, the one store that most of them had, where they were playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards and things of that nature, you kept moving it and moving it and moving it. Give them something to do. Make it about your neighbors and make it about family and friends.
Thank you. So how would you balance the various interests of the community? For example, rural, business, residential, recreational, etc.
Well, I know in the East End, they like it rural. I've talked to a few of you, you guys love it rural. If you wanted rural out there, I said leave it rural. You bought those properties knowing that you wanted to have animals, you wanted your horses, you wanted space and darkness between you and your neighbors. That's fine with me. The way we balance it is, if we have an area where the business is lacking, like in District 4 right now, we have some areas that need to be revitalized. Then we need to focus on putting businesses in there. The thing that the city does consistently right now is they focus on building new warehouses, they focus on building a new shopping center without having to utilize the space we already have, so you're just out here wasting space. So maybe the real balance needs to come from, and I don't know, maybe I'm a little old school with this, use what you have first before you get something new. And that's what the city is lacking, and that's how we'll balance it. Because once we've utilized and reused all those spaces, then we can sit back and say, what else do we need? What are we missing? Can we put something somewhere else? At the rate they're building homes, they haven't focused on one shopping center. There's only a few when we really get down to it that you can go to. So that's how we'll balance it. And it comes down to what the residents want too. If they want more homes in that area, give them to them. If they don't want those homes, then they'll let us know that.
Thank you. So in that same train of thought, in light of the infrastructure issues in this district, especially road conditions, if elected, what are your plans to improve them?
So the roads are a mess. They're conveniently being fixed right now during election season. And I always ask, and I've asked them too, where was this energy last year?
All right.
Where was this money that fell out the sky all of a sudden? What we need to do is really look at our roads. We need to make sure that when they're building these warehouses and they're building even the newer homes, because there's going to be more traffic coming through, yeah, they have development impact fees, but we need to make sure that they're paying for redoing those roads. You need to make sure these roads are up to standard. We need to stop doing those fillers that we do.
Yeah.
You know, when they're talking about, well, the road is a grade this, so we're filling a little bit of these potholes here. It does you no good if you haven't redid your truck routes and the trucks are still going over them, reopening those same potholes. So we need to look at our truck routes. We need to deal with the fact that we are literally rolling out the red carpet to most of these developers and not getting our bang for our buck, is the way I say it. Hold them accountable the same way we need to hold city council accountable, the same way our mayor needs to be held accountable, and the same way city staff needs to be held accountable. Everybody needs to make sure that everyone's taking their share.
Thank you. So 20 years ago, most of us would not have envisioned a time when marijuana would become legal. source to generate tax dollars. Why has the city not been proactive in permitting these businesses, and what are your views?
It is viable. It is something that everyone should look into. What I caution the city, which I wish they would have done, was take it more slow. Now, for some people, they think we jump all over it, we should jump on it now. You can't. There are things that go into cannabis that we're not quite sure of. One is, it's a cash-only business. There's no bank as of right now that can take that money in. So we have to look at it, when we're talking about public safety, you need to look at it from that standpoint, because who's going to make sure that those businesses aren't getting robbed? What are the standards we're going to put in? Then we have to think about how many we're going to actually open. They've approved as many as 27 or 28. The other night, they said they would cap it at 8, which is another convenient thing that they decided to do now that it's election season. But when they capped it at 8, they still said, but we have the right to go back and review it later to see whether or not we want to open that cap up. We need to really look at and investigate how this revenue is going to be tracked, because it's all self-reporting. We need to make sure we're getting our fair share. I want to know where they're going to put them at. We're 51 square miles. You can't have them all over the place. So we need to know where they're exactly going to be, and I want to see the actual plans from each cannabis shop or each cannabis oil and anybody else that thinks they're going to open up something in cannabis industry about how you're going to keep us safe, how you're going to keep your building safe, and what are your plans and your goals and what your structure is. It's not something you should just open the floodgates on.
So what does cultural competency mean to you, and how will you implement it effectively within your leadership?
Cultural competency? Well, cultural competency basically means that if you're asking me that all cultures and everybody ethnically needs to be represented some way in the city. I was asked a question at a previous candidate forum if I felt like we had diversity on city council, and my answer is, yeah, it's always good to have representation that looks like you, but at the end of the day, I don't want you to vote for me because I'm Black or African American or a woman. I want you to vote for me because I'm the right person for the job. What we have going on right now is we have, and I don't even know how to really say this. I don't mince my words a whole lot, so I'm trying. What we have going on right now is one particular event or culture is always represented. We're not getting our Juneteenth. We're not getting our Asia Pacific Islander months. We're not getting Women's Month. We're not getting all of these different things that you could be bringing into the city to show the different cultures that we have here. We're not a city of one culture. We're a good city with a very rich culture. You know, we have a city where you could have a Pacific Islander Day and you can have them come out here and they can do their haka and everything. We need to represent everybody. And it's not always about what race is holding count right now at city council. It's the right thing to do all the time. It's what you teach your children when they go to school, right? Be friends with everybody because, you know, everybody's a person. Everyone's human at the end of the day, right? And that's what we need to have when we talk about cultural competency. That's what we need to be looking at.
Thank you. So can you talk to us about a strength and a weakness that you have and how they can help you in your role as a city council leader?
So a weakness that I have is I'm extremely passionate. And sometimes my passion can be confused for anger if it's really going. And I say that because a few people have come to me and thought I was angry, and it's not that I'm angry, it's that I'm passionate. When I believe what I believe, and I know what I know, then it's my heart that's in it. It's not my mind that's going, it's truly my heart. So that's a weakness that I have that my husband will tell you. He's been working on me with this. Dial it back, it's okay. Everybody doesn't need to see you go 0 to 1,000. You can always start at 25. But the strength that I have is, I go straight for it. I'm not going to mince my words. I don't have a problem calling you on the carpet. If you say something and it doesn't sound right, I'm not going to let it just pass over my head. I'm going to say, wait a minute. You told me this, this, and this. Now, you're telling me 1 + 1 = 3, and I know 1 + 1 = 2. So that's what I bring to the table, is that I'm not going to sit there scared. I'm not going to sit there like I don't know what to say. I may sit there kind of jotting down notes and thinking, and that's because I'm getting ready to tell you that what you said doesn't make sense, and I'm going to repeat it back to you so you can hear it. So that's a lot of times, that's one of my strengths and my weaknesses that I do have.
Okay, so this is the last question before we give you the 1 minute for wrap up. So what is your vision for your district and how will you achieve it?
So my vision for my district is that we have more youth sports out there, more things directed towards our youth, because we are the commuter part of the city. So that's what my vision is. I would actually like some more businesses out there, some different variety of restaurants, a different variety of stores. And the way we achieve that is going out there, discussing with the different businesses, hey, when they're matching them, do you have this? We're looking for this type of store. Do you have this? We're looking for this type of restaurant. Talking with the YMCA about, hey, do you know if you guys can come out here every once in a while, or the Boys and Girls Club that they're building? This happens by having conversations. What we have happening now is our city council's executive staff is just going out there and just going, hey, you want a warehouse? We got warehouses. No, that's not what we need to do. We need to figure out what are the actual needs of our district, and our district is tired of warehouses. That's the need our district no longer wants to have. We're tired of warehouses. They want stores, they want restaurants, they want places where they can take their children and hang out. And that's the needs, and I hope to achieve that by working collectively with district staff.
Thank you. So your 1 minute wrap up, what do you want to leave us with?
Okay. So on November 6th, and some of you even earlier than that if you got your mail-in ballot or you go to work early, I'm asking that you guys go to the polls, show up, and vote for me. Don't vote for me because, you hate the other guy. That's never a good reason to give someone your vote. Vote for me because my values, who I am, the vision that I have matches with yours. It matches the direction you want your district and your city to go through. It's not that I would say vote for me because you don't like him, but that's just not right. But that's why I want you guys to vote. Help me help you by electing me to represent you and give you the fair and honest representation that you as a district have been denied since 2013. Help me by selecting me as your choice to be your district representative on November 6th or even before.
Thank you, Sheila. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We have 45 minutes for this panel. We have 3 candidates. So, candidates, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We have joining us as a candidate for District 2 City Council, Mr. Corey Jackson, Ms. Carla Gordon, and then Ms. Carrie Finn. So, candidates, we're going to start off the forum with allowing each of you 3 minutes to give us an overview of your candidacy, who you are, why you're running. There's cards that are going to be counting you down in the back. So when you get to 30 seconds, try to wrap it up. I don't want to have to interrupt you, but forgive me in advance if I do. I'm just trying to keep us on time until we can get to the questions of the audience. Once you've done your 3 minutes, I'll ask the first question. Each candidate will have an opportunity to respond in 60 seconds. And then at the end, we'll give each candidate 1 minute to wrap up. Okay? All right, so let's get started. We'll start with the gentleman, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here to always find ways to be accessible to the community and to make sure that you know exactly who I stand, what I stand for, and basically allow you to kick the tires to see if I'm for you. And I'm I'm not trying to be everything to everybody, but I am want to make sure that you understand what we're up against in this city and what the stakes are. I'm a business owner. 95% of the people who I employ live right here in this city. I'm in the youth development business. So 90% of the young people that I serve is right here in the city, over 100 young people. And these are the most marginalized young people. These are the young people who don't have a support structure, whether it's in the home or in the community. And it's my job to do whatever it takes to make sure that they're off the school to prison pipeline and onto a bright future. I think it's also important that, just like many of us, I mean, I've said this many times and I'll say it again, when you look at all of our resumes, District 2 has a tough choice. And that's a good thing, right? Which means you're gonna have to take a look at us once, twice. Some of y'all might need to take a third look, at us. But that's a good thing, because that means that there's the talent that's out there, and that you have many choices. I've sat on boards, I've sat on commissions, I've been a governor appointee, I've worked for 2 state legislators, 2 members of Congress, one of them a U.S. senator, so I mean, I have state, local, and federal experience, but what's most importantly is that I really believe in making sure that members of District 2 understand that my voice is not my voice, it's their voice, and that they will make sure that they see their ideas and their dreams on the City Council agenda, and that they will make sure that I make sure that I will be accessible to them and help to create a true vision for District 2, right? So I'm here to make sure that I answer as many hard questions as possible, and to see, basically just see how things are, what questions are out there.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Good evening, everyone. I first want to thank my church home for hosting this amazing event. We've been through, 4 candidate forums. This is the largest turnout. So I just feel so honored to be able to tell you a little bit about myself and about why I decided to run for City Council. So I grew up here. I went to Palm Middle School and Canyon Springs High School and joined the United States Air Force immediately after and spent 20 years in the Air Force. And I'm so happy to say I was able to retire from it. And when I returned home back to Reno Valley 9 years ago, I came home with the Air Force's core values, which are integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. I have a spirit to serve my community, and I want to figure out what was the best way for me to invest that leadership skills that the military gave me in my local community. So I immediately applied to join the Environmental and Historical Preservation Board for our city. I served on that board for 5 years and ended up chairing it for 2. After that, I left and joined the Traffic Commission, and I was honored to serve on that board for a little over 2 years and ended up chairing that also. And there were many times on the Environmental Board, the Traffic Commission, that we would come together at recommendations and present to the City Council. And I'm telling you right now, not one time did they go with our recommendation. And so I said, you know what, next time the City Council seat comes up, I'm putting my name in the hat. Also, I am a governor appointee on the California Veterans Board. In that position, I represent the 2.1 million veterans here in our state, and I'm the chairwoman of that board. It's not a coincidence that every board I've been on, I've been represented, I've been elected to be the chairperson. Because my board members saw in me that I was someone that brought the strategic planning and leadership to the board and the commissions. I'm honored to be an assistant professor at California Baptist University in the Master's of Social Work program. In that position, I'm training Christ-centered social workers to have an impact right here in the Inland Empire. So in every facet of my life, I'm serving my community, I've served my country, and now I'm like, I need to serve our city. This is a place that I grew up in. I'm a homeowner here. I'm a single parent. I've been through it all. I've been on WIC. I've been on unemployment. I've struggled. I've seen the changes that this community's been through. And I know what I can provide to the city. And so why I'm running for City Council is It's because what I know for a fact is a high level of integrity that's not being utilized in our city council and our local city government. Also, I operate with a high level of ethics, right? Everything from the Brown Act to Robert's Rules of Orders. Like, these are things that are missing at our local government, and it's impacting us negatively right here. And so, a vote for me means a vote for someone that's always operating with that lens, always thinking about the strategic plan. Where do we see ourselves 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And ensuring the other most important thing, that I'm remaining accessible and transparent to my community members. Because we always forget.
Hello, everyone, and again, I'd also like to thank Crossword Church for hosting this candidate forum, because as Carla said, we've seen some turnout, and then we've seen bigger turnout, and this is definitely a great turnout. So thank you for all of you coming. And as was said, my name is Carrie Fenn, and I've lived in this city for the past 20 years. When I retired from the United States Air Force, I could have lived literally anywhere in the world, but I decided to come back from Moreno Valley. I was stationed here in the early 90s when I was on active duty, and when the base closed to active duty military personnel, I was sent right back overseas with my family, and we bought that house in this place called Moreno Valley, Sunnymead Ranch, in fact. And when I retired a number of years later, we came back to Moreno Valley to live in that house that we didn't have an opportunity to spend too much time in. So I'm very proud to tell you that 20 years in Moreno Valley has allowed me to live in this city as well as this district for the past 20 years, first in Sunnymead Ranch, and then when our girls grew up and we had this fairly large house and there was only 2 of us left, we decided to scale down and move to the east end of the city. And I'm very happy to tell you that we have loved every minute of it. And I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm here to stay. I represent this city. I represent you, and I'm very happy to earn your vote tonight. But let me tell you the rest of my story. When I retired from the United States military, I decided I needed to serve. I needed to serve my community. And I've done that through a number of means. The first and foremost is become deeply involved with veterans issues. I'm a past Riverside County Commissioner for Women, and I represented the Veterans Voice on that commission. I am currently the Senior Vice Commander for the local Veterans of Foreign War Post, the VFW, right on Alessandra Boulevard. And that VFW post has really moved towards servicing all age groups of veterans now, because women are serving in our board, and as I said, I am the Senior Vice Commander. It's made all the difference in the world. Women make a difference when you're on a board. They make a big difference. I'm a professor at the University of Redlands. I've been teaching for the university for the past 17 years. And I'm also the chair of the Measure M School Board Committee that built Canyon Springs High School, and it also built a number of other facilities across the city, such as brand new Edgemont Elementary. So I am very proud to tell you that I'm a 2-term appointee to that board, and now I am the chair of that board, and I make sure that every single dollar Thank you.
So to ensure that each candidate gets asked the same question, we're going to ask the questions based on your last name in alphabetical order. So Mr. Jackson, you just happen to be first because you're J and everyone else is T. So first question, and remember we have 60 seconds. And so if you go, I'll try to be respectful and give you a couple more seconds to wrap up, but if you go over, I'm going to have to cut you off. So what is your vision for your district, and how will you achieve it?
Number one, my vision for the district is to raise the expectations of what representation really looks like in the first place. And that means that my commitment is to institute what I call participatory governance. And that means that before as many city council meetings as possible, I will have a district meeting where residents can actually come and talk about items on the agenda. And to make sure that they know before the city council meeting how I'm going to vote, right? Now there are some very complicated issues that sometimes that may not be feasible, but they'll at least know what I'm wrestling with, right? And then they'll be able to see as a community where each other stands. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, oh. Well, that was the important part.
So Ms. Fenn, you're next. So what is your vision for your district and how will you achieve it?
My vision for the district is to get the money that we put back to the city, back to our district. I represent you when I'm elected, and right now, there are 40 parks in this city, and do you know there are only 5 in District 2? Out of 40. That's abominable. We deserve as many parks as everywhere else in the city, and when developers, whether they be warehouse or not, decide to build in our city, then we need to ask for concessions to include providing parks throughout the city of Moreno Valley. The second thing I look at is the vacancy space in so many of our commercial areas, whether it be Lakeshore Village or the location right up the street off Day. We've got to look at what we already have and then expand, revitalize, and attract businesses to those areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Thornton, same question. What is your vision for your district and how will you achieve it?
My vision for the district is that we're able to live, work, and play in our own district. The way that I would get to that is it all comes down to funding and networking. So we have 2 shopping centers that are being underutilized, Canyon Springs Plaza and the shopping center up by Sunnymead Ranch. And those centers need development. We need good business coming in there. We need the beautification of those centers need to be increased, and it needs to be businesses that we are going to frequent on a constant basis. And also, we need to invest in our infrastructure. The roads, Ironwood, Redlands, even with the traffic stoplights from trying to get onto the 60, we need to improve that and invest in that infrastructure. And so those are the 2 things that I believe would be a priority for District 2.
Thank you. So Mr. Jackson, the next question. Are you in favor of increasing the number of city council districts from 4 to 6?
Yes.
Ms. Fenn?
Yes, I am, and let me explain why. We are a city of almost 210,000 people now, and in every district, there are over 50,000 people. That's the size of a small city. We need 6 districts in order to adequately, each council person, in order for them to adequately represent the constituents. It is very difficult to represent an area from Bronx Springs Road all the way to Theodore Street. It's almost 8 miles long by about 7 miles wide. That's a very large area. And by expansion of districts, it also gives you, the voter, and the constituents, a better, finer-tuned person for which to address your concerns. 4 districts is too small, 6 districts is just right.
Thank you. Ms. Thornton, same question.
Absolutely, I agree with everyone else that we do need more representation, and that would be through expansion of districts. As she stated, District 2 alone is a great example of how large of land it is. We've been knocking on doors, and I thought I was going to lose weight going into it from knocking on so many doors, but it didn't happen. It's huge. It's huge. And our Moreno Valley is such a diverse city, and the idea that there is not the maximum amount of representation and accessibility due to only having the amount of district seats that we have right now is really frustrating for community members and also for the city council. So I would be in great support of moving it up to 6.
Thank you. So Mr. Jackson, next question. What makes you able to identify with the average citizen?
Well, first of all, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Secondly, I grew up here in the Inland Empire. I grew up in a household, a single mother, on food stamps, the real food stamps, not this little credit card thing, right? And single mother went back to school from San Bernardino Valley College to become a nurse, to buy our home the first time, get us off of welfare and out of an abusive home. I know this. I know this region. I know these communities. I come in contact with the young people on a daily basis and the things that they're experiencing. These are hardworking people, and these are people with hopes and dreams for not only themselves, but for their children. And it would just be for me an honor to be able to take their stories and implement it.
Thank you. Ms. Finn, same question. What makes you able to identify with the average citizen?
I can definitely identify with the average citizen. When my husband and I came back to Moreno Valley, my kids went to Moreno Valley High Schools, Moreno Valley Unified School District Schools, Canyon Springs High School. My grandsons go to Moreno Valley Unified School District Schools. We live in the same communities as you do. But when we came back, what we realized is that 2 retirees did not make enough money. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't just me that had to go to work. My husband took a job, a Christmas season job at Macy's, so we could make ends meet. 2 military retirees, and we knew we had to take whatever job, because any job is better than no job. And that's exactly why I will tell you, my husband and I have worked for every single penny. Neither one of us were handed anything. My daughters work. My grandsons are going to have to work. Unfortunately, I told them already, you don't have a silver spoon coming your way. But I identify because...
That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Thornton, can you repeat the question? I will for you. What makes you able to identify with the average citizen?
So, my story, like I said before, is, I went to junior high and high school out here, so I grew up here. And when I moved back to Moreno Valley from the Air Force, I ended up living with my parents for 5 years because I could not afford to live here alone. And I ended up buying a home right around the corner from my parents. And my first job was in Irvine. So I identify with you who are long commuters. I'm blessed now to be able to work in Riverside and not have to commute. But I did that for 3 years. And that's another way that I can identify with you. And lastly is I shop here. I try to frequent as many businesses and spend my expendable income in our local city just like you do too. So with my personal story and my background, I hope that resonates with you.
Thank you. So Mr. Jackson, do you think accepting substantial donations from prospective businesses or business owners is a slippery slope in terms of how you as a council member would condition projects?
Yes. To expand on that a little bit more, though, I would say this, is that any business who donates, and I will make this commitment, that any business that donate, none has, that it doesn't matter how long ago they donated to me, I'm going to have to recuse myself of that vote. And I think it should be an expectation that everyone does that. I think also, I know firsthand about money in politics. I had $250,000 spent against me last time, right? And so it is destroying our democracy. And it's time for us to fight back.
Thank you. Ms. Penn, same question. Do you think accepting substantial donations from prospective businesses or business owners is a slippery slope in terms of how you as a council member would condition projects?
It is, and there's no 2 ways around it. I spoke at City Council last year when the resolution in our city that was passed by the previous council was removed by the current council, which stated that if you accepted more than $500 in a campaign year in the previous 4 years, that you would then have to identify that. We didn't even ask you to recuse. We simply said you had to identify it. I'm an appointed official, and as an appointed official, if I do accept money in this campaign from anyone, then it may compromise my ability to be an appointed official, because appointed officials are actually held to a higher standard than elected officials. It's crazy. It's gotten so out of control. So I make a stand right now that it isn't warehouse developers, it isn't businesses that vote. It's you and I that vote. I accept donations only from people, not corporations, not businesses, and certainly not warehouse developers.
Same question. Do you think accepting substantial donations from prospective businesses, business owners, is a slippery slope in terms of how you, as a council member, would condition projects?
Well, we all know that perception is reality, right? So even though a candidate might have the best of intentions, if it's perceived by the local community that now that they are compromised due to accepting a substantial donation, then it's up to that candidate or that elected official to ensure that the public is informed of that, and like the other two candidates have said, make steps to either recuse himself or come to a compromise. It is unfortunate. It takes a lot of time to run a campaign, and you have to accept fundraising dollars to get your message out. And so what I encourage you all to do is that there's a candidate that you're supporting to donate to them. And to also let them know what your value systems are. So I do think it is a slippery slope. It is unfortunate that it does occur and that it continues to occur and it won't stop. And I completely agree with my fellow colleagues.
So, Mr. Jackson, 20 years ago, most of us wouldn't have envisioned a time when marijuana would become legal. Now that it has been legalized, it seems like a viable source to generate tax dollars. Why has the city of Moreno Valley not been proactive in permitting these businesses, and what are your views on the topic?
My view is that if it's going to be here, we really need a time to study it, and we need to do these things in phases, right? And so if we are going to begin to generate or create a new stream of income for the city, then we need to do it incrementally. We need to allow a few to start, understand what issues that may bring, and to be able to mitigate that, and so that if we decide to expand on that, then we can make those a part of the requirements for the next phase.
Can you repeat the question? Yes. 20 years ago, most of us wouldn't have envisioned a time when marijuana would become legal. Now that it has been legalized, it seems like a viable source to generate tax dollars. Why has the city of Moreno Valley not been proactive in permitting these businesses, and what are your views on the topic?
Well, I would have to say the city of Moreno Valley has been very proactive in allowing too many of these businesses, because the word is out that if you want to open a business in Moreno Valley, it doesn't have to go through the permitting process. It doesn't have to go through conditional use permits. You can just stand on the side of the road and have a green waving sign. And we're taking cash, so you have no idea whether what you're ingesting, smoking, or taking is actually good for you or not. So I think we have been proactive. Unfortunately, a little too fast for me. I would like to see the conditional use permits and the permits to operate go a little slower so we can examine more about this industry. And I don't think in this case we need to lead. I think it's okay to be a little bit behind.
Thank you. Ms. Thornton, same question. 20 years ago, most of us would not have envisioned a time when marijuana would become legal. Now that it has been legalized, it seems a viable source to generate tax dollars? Why has the city of Moreno Valley not been proactive in permitting these businesses, and what are your views on the topic?
So I believe that the cannabis in Moreno Valley is an age-old example of the lack of a strategic plan and thinking about the 5-year, 10-year, 15-year implications of bringing this business and this industry into our city. I do believe that we've been proactive, so as Carrie stated, I would disagree with that. And I would, if I were city council at the time, I would have asked for more study and more research and asked for more data before we approve that. I'm conservative in nature, but I am pro-business, and at the end of the day, this still is against the law at the federal level. And so bringing cannabis into our city has huge negative implications regarding public safety, regarding the upkeep of that, and just the environment that it brings. And so I believe that we need to be slow and steady in our implementation of cannabis in Moreno Valley.
Thank you. So, Mr. Jackson, what does cultural competency mean to you, and how will you implement it effectively within your leadership?
Number one, culturally competency means that we need to make sure that we understand that this city is made up of many cultures, and that which means that sometimes things may not be the way you do it, but that doesn't make it wrong. And that we need to make sure that we spend more time instead of trying to force people to conform to what we want, where we expect someone to act like. Maybe we need to broaden our horizons to learn about the strengths and the dignity that their culture brings. I think that it also means that culturally competency is great, but I like to be more culturally specific, to be honest. And that means that we need to make sure that we honor everybody for who they are. And instead of expecting them to conform for us, maybe we need to make sure that we conform to them.
Thank you. Ms. Fenn, what does cultural competency mean to you, and how will you implement it effectively within your leadership?
I think you implement cultural competency by embracing all of the diversity, all of the groups that your city represents. I'm a member of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I attended years ago the African American Coalition. I was born on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, and my great godmother was Chinese. I was stationed in 4 different countries: Turkey, Italy, Germany, and Spain. And so I have driven a car in a country that I could not read the signs, that I did not speak the language. I have attended Mass and faith-based services in areas that I do not believe in, that are not my particular religious beliefs. I think you expose yourself and you expose your city. And I'm also a board member.
That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Thornton, what does cultural competency mean to you, and how will you implement it effectively within your leadership?
So what cultural competency means to me is that when I'm dealing with each and every one of you on an individual basis, I'm dealing with you and looking at you and considering you as an individual. And I'm getting to know you, and I'm listening to you and taking your background and what you consider as a norm for your life into consideration in our communication process and for every decision that I make. So that's what it means to me. Moreno Valley is a very diverse city. Our state is very diverse. And just due to me being in the military for 20 years, I've lived around the world and in many different states. And I came back home to California because of the diversity, because I appreciated that. And so exercising cultural competency for me as your representative means that I'm meeting you where you're at and recognizing that and respecting it.
So, Mr. Jackson, can you tell us about a strength and weakness that you have, and how it can help you in your role as a city council leader?
My weakness is that I'm short. And I can't see over certain things sometimes. But my strength is that when I have a goal, I'm willing to lay it all on the line to achieve it. I lost by less than 1% of the vote last time. And since then, I've sold my house, moved into a small apartment, and I saved that money to spend on this election. And so my meals consist of top ramen, 5-minute rice, and Kraft macaroni and cheese. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to wrestle this district out of the hands of people who are draining us.
Ms. Kim, can you tell us about a strength and a weakness you have, and how can it help you in your role as a city council leader?
Well, my strength and my weakness is service. I like to serve. I like to be around people that are like-minded to serve. And I was going to finish my conversation earlier and say that I sit on an advisory board for a Muslim Family Foundation that just opened their doors literally across the street. And when you serve and you're service-minded, you tend to think that there's 25 hours in the day. And you schedule yourself, you overschedule yourself, overbook yourself. And then I have to look at my family and I have to say, I have a commitment to them. When I'm elected, I have a commitment to you. And I have a commitment to the organizations that I serve. And those organizations have something personal to me. So while my strength is I do like to serve, it can also become a weakness because you have to be able to do work-life balance. And you have to understand that your commitment, your passion, your drive is not necessarily everyone else's.
Ms. Thornton, can you tell us about a strength and weakness you have and how it can help you in your role as a city council leader?
So one of my weaknesses, and I'll start with that first, is my nonverbal communication and my facial expressions. Once I'm on city council and someone says something that upsets me, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain the straight face. So I'm working on that. My strength is my determination and what I like to call grit, right? Everything that I have, where I'm at today, I did it on my own with the support of my family. I wasn't handed anything. I've experienced a lot in life and have overcome those obstacles to bring me before you today. I think that comes from grit, from having determination, being forward-thinking, and always having a plan, and nothing can deter me from accomplishing that plan. So that's a strength that I hope I'll have the opportunity to bring to City Council as your representative.
Thank you. So, Mr. Jackson, over the last few years, land use compatibility has gone out the window. As warehouses continue to be improved, adjacent to homes and schools, with sensitive receptors, the land use incompatibility will have a negative effect on the home value. When they go on sale, what are your top ideas on how to remedy this issue?
When what goes on sale?
So this is a question from the audience, so we can interpret. I'm assuming homes. Is anyone here who answered the question that may be clarified?
What was the question again?
The question was, over the last few years, land use compatibility has gone out the window as warehouses continue to be improved adjacent to homes and schools. So is it about warehouses going on sale and city and developers buying seats? Can we assume that that's...
It means, is there a vote for sale?
Is there a vote for sale? So is your vote for sale with warehouse developers? I think the question is getting at the compromise between allowing warehouses where houses and children are versus thinking about the needs of the community.
Let me just say it this way. Putting a warehouse next to homes is just wrong. It's just wrong. I think that number one, you put that warehouse, it does impact property values, right? So that's wrong. You're hitting people's investments, right? And secondly, no one buys a home expecting to have your backyard or front yard, right, looking out at a warehouse or seeing these trucks go to and fro and hearing them while you're trying to watch TV, sleep, or whatever, right? So I think it's just wrong. And so we need to make sure that when we look at how we zone property, that none of that could be zoned to be able to put something like that near a house.
Thank you, Ms. Benton. So I'll try to interpret. Okay. So is your vote for sale with regards to allowing warehouses to be built by schools and homes?
Absolutely not. And to add to that, we have something going on in secret in our city right now, and that is discussions about the general plan amendment. Our city is well overdue, in fact some would say illegally overdue, to issue a general plan amendment which would designate specific areas of the city for various types of industries, residential build, multi-businesses, all kinds of things. And when I personally have addressed this with the city manager, I am being told, Carrie, you're gonna love it. I don't know if I'm gonna love it because nobody has seen it. That's the first problem with our city, is things are done in secret and we're not advised as to what's going on with our general plan, which should designate specific areas of our city for specific industries, residential, agricultural, and others. The second thing that I would do is pass a city ordinance to expand the notification from 300 feet to up to, in my mind, a mile around an area.
That's
because
time. Thank you. Ms. Hunter, is your vote for sale with regards to warehouses coming in and being built next to houses and schools?
So I'm not beholden to anyone. That is a fundamental value system of mine, and for anyone that's donated to me, I've had those conversations with them, right? I think one thing that ends up happening for politicians, they forget that they work for you, it's not vice versa. I think that's the fundamental issue when we think about how are we in the state that we are today, at the local level, at the state level, at the federal level. It's that they forget that they work for the people that voted for them. And so no, I'm not going to sacrifice my community, my neighborhood, my city for people who have outside interests that are not in the best interests of me, my daughter, my family, and you. So no, I will not be beholden to anyone. There are areas that have already been rezoned that if I were on city council at the time, I wouldn't have approved, but we're there, right? They're no longer housing, zoned for housing, they're now zoned for warehousing. And so it's about having someone that's able to have that conversation and collaborate and network with those people that now own that land.
Thank you. So that's our last question. We will start with Mr. Jackson for your 1 minute wrap up.
You know, we can't afford to go through another 4 years. We cannot afford to go through another 4 years where our voices are being ignored. And I think we've got to make some tough decisions. And I think that we need to make sure that as we vote, that we are actually voting to make sure that we wrestle this seed away from those who are continuously trying to expand their influence. So after losing by just 7 votes last time, I'm doing everything that I can. Everything that I can. I'm putting everything into this to make sure that we get a little bit closer, to make sure that our voices are as equal as anybody else. So I urge you to consider voting for me. Thank you.
I'm just going to finish the comment I was trying to make earlier, and that is, I was on Lawless Road just last Saturday, and we currently have an ordinance that says only people within 300 feet need to be notified of dynamite and blasting in their neighborhood. That is absolutely uncalled for. In my neighborhood, we had a developer thinking that he was going to come in and change zoning in our area. And again, only the people within 300 feet were notified, yet we have a mandated half-acre lot to 1-acre lot area. The density is not the same. So it is my objective to make sure that you are notified when there's a project that's going to impact you, whether it be warehousing, dynamite. Come on, that's ridiculous. I'm Carrie Finn. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your support. And I want to let you know that not only am I business friendly, family friendly, but I'm also environmentally friendly because air and water quality matter. Thank you very much for your time.
So thank you so much again for coming out and hearing us tonight. I just want to say that for me, this is really about me feeling that our city lacks a strategic plan and a vision and a way forward. And a vote for me means a vote for someone that's going to actively work to get your buy-in, get our state's buy-in, our county's buy-in, our state's buy-in, and helping move Moreno Valley forward to a vision that we all agree on. I am so honored to have this opportunity to talk to you all today, and I really think that this is the time. It's the time for change. We keep pushing reset on the city council, but the same toxic environment still persists, and that fundamentally it's because we are lacking integrity and high ethics in the city council, and that's something that I will bring forth once I'm elected as your representative.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jackson, for supporting. Thank you, Ms. Finn. So next on the agenda